and that probably gets us close to 3 or 4 lakh page views a month. So that's the difference that we're talking about, because if you have to consume all the inventory that people like Shrikar and his media colleagues are doing.
Right, let's welcome them all with a big round of applause. Come on, audience. This is going to be very interesting. I mean, it's a day when things haven't gone exactly India's way, but that's okay. There's a lot of sports left in this country, and there's life beyond cricket as well. Let me call up our panelists. Please put your hands together and give a big round of applause. Audience, I'm sure you can do better than that. Come on everyone, all of you young people there. Super. Mr. Venki Mysore, CEO of KKR. Ms. Radha Kapoor, founder of Do It Sports Management. Mr. Vivek Singh, founder ProCam International. Don't let this dry up, come on. Mr. Shailendra Singh, Joint MD for SET. He's on the way. This session is going to be moderated by Mr. Vineet Karnik, National Director, Entertainment, Sports and Live Events, Group M. So 2014 witnessed the emergence of sports as it rekindled the nation's hope, and sports channels of course played a huge role in creating a big buzz in the arena of sports. The successful league models in kabaddi, cricket, hockey, football, badminton and tennis have paved the way for creating viable career options for young Indians. However, the key to success remains in monetization and return of investment of the stakeholders, as well as the sustainability of their business plans. The panel will deliberate on issues relating to a national policy on sports, infrastructure status to build stadiums and facilities, challenges before the rights holders to monetize sports content, franchisees' business models, as well as a national curriculum on sports. So without any more delay,
good evening, friends. As we are all aware, the topic today that we are going to be deliberating in the next hour or so is, are we finally on the last mile of the big league in sports? And to discuss this topic, we have one of the most eminent panelists from the industry who actually doesn't need an introduction, but I might as well do it once. So, to my extreme left, we have Vivek Singh, founder of ProCam International. Abhishek needs no introduction, but today he is here as not as a star, but as a owner of two clubs, one in kabaddi and one in soccer. Sorry, football. We have Shailendra Singh, Joint Managing Director, PASAT, Radha Kapoor, Do It Media, and of course, Venki Mysore, CEO, KKR. Actually, last mile in the context of sport could mean multiple things. To some, it could be packed stadiums. To some, it could be viewership in double digits. To some, it could be robust and sustainable cash flow, talented bench strength, and of course, winning titles. But before we deep dive into this subject, let's look at some visible trends that our sporting industry is throwing at us. Undoubtedly, looking at the panel here, the gap between entertainment and sports as the industries is definitely coming as close as we can think of. Non-cricketing sports definitely taking center stage, and that's what is expanding the sporting ecosystem actually. Sporting businesses are building strong grassroots engagements through experiential programs. Programming quality on sports in the traditional TV is getting bigger and better by every hour, powered by surround content and a very, very strong social layer. Stronger social layer to the extent that digital is going to be the new traditional very soon. And of course, are we as advertisers and investors in this business are finally warming up to move up from the measured valuation to perceived valuations. Now, therefore, while we welcome the new leagues and the sporting culture, monetization and financials of this business are still very critical and challenging. It's quite fashionable these days to say that sports in its initial years should not be looked at from a P&L point, but valuations is what drives the sports business. But the ground reality actually is quite different, my friends. Let's look at some of the patterns that we have learned globally in terms of what actually goes into building a robust sporting franchise. The first and foremost, the business structure of the league should ensure that the entire ecosystem eventually makes money. Product consistency and the broadcast platform becomes another very important layer in the entire game. Realistic pricing followed by marketing. To me, a couple of sports who have done well from a league point of view have been a great marketing stories to start with. And of course, do we have a robust fan engagement program? Because without fans, I don't think sports can sustain itself. Therefore, two questions I would want my eminent panelists to deliberate. First and foremost, are all sports television friendly and therefore advertiser friendly? Second, do we really believe that all sports have a potential to go the league route? May I request Vivek to start with these two things and we will follow one by one.
Thank you, Vineet, and such a pleasure being here among such wonderful people, really. I think it's quite a broad spectrum that you have laid out and to cover ground here. Just start by saying that at the heart of all sport, at the core of all sport, is human passion and human interest. The reason I bring this up is because that is the two things that we need to ensure before we look at sports becoming a league, becoming commercial successes, valuations, etc. Sometimes you find that people are keen to jump the gun. Without establishing passion and connect, they want to have a commercial success. Now, sport is something which is very different. It's unlike anything else. Exploitation cannot precede interest. There needs to be interest, there needs to be passion, connect, and then of course there can be exploitation of that. So to answer and to begin this by saying is that yes, it is something which is fabulous. In the last few years so many good things have come up, but we have to be careful whether the investments, whether the mindset is there to build that passion, traction, connect, and then lead it to exploitation, rather than say, we have a sport, it's been going on, we don't know what the passion and connect is, what the interest, but let's have a league and let's have it start off the ground.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vineet, and I just want to echo his sentiments by saying that it's great to be here and with all of you and also in the midst of this August panel. A couple of quick comments that I'd like to make is that in the context of what has been happening in the last few years, I suppose I'll be speaking more from this standpoint of franchise sports, which has evolved over the last few years. I suppose IPL kicked it off, and we're very fortunate to be with the champion team, KKR, and everything else that's going on. But I think at a macro level, what it has done is it's really brought a lot of resources into sports. And through the franchise model, I think you all know, and some of this is a lot of public information as to how players have flourished and are being appropriately and arguably sometimes overcompensated, which is fine. But what it has done is it's brought a lot of resources into the entire ecosystem of sports, which has allowed for, if you see facilities that are evolved today in terms of the stadiums and the type of fan experience that one gets when going to a stadium, that's been a huge plus from that perspective. But just looking at it also from a franchise perspective, and question that Vineet posed is, to me, as I as I lead this franchise, the two key pillars that we always focus on is the brand and also the fan base. Because we are in an environment where most of the sports that we are following today as franchise sports have all they've all had national following, like we've been doing over the last few weeks with our team there. But suddenly you come into a franchise model and you expect the city to attach themselves to you. So on the one hand, there is an entertainment product that people are very curious about, come in, they buy a ticket maybe, they come to the stadium, watch it on TV or whatever. But for this to sustain and flourish, there needs to be a fan base.
So if you put that in perspective, now I'll just put you through the acid test of the reality of the fact. So how does it work? Does India want to be a sporting nation? Yes. Do the youth of India want to play sport? Yes. Do all of us want to play sport? Yes. Do we want to be one of the finest nations driven by sports? Yes. But the fact of the matter is that it doesn't work like this in our country. So 50 odd federations, 49 are run by politicians. And they're all 65 plus. Game over. Now, having said that, in the recent times there have been interesting opportunities. So why did BCCI jump into IPL? Entire BCCI's valuation was hovering around somewhere some 2,000-3,000 crores, with IPL big at 15,000 crores. So BCCI backed IPL, banged it out of the park because it economically helped them. So either it's got to be economical, or you need a Neeta Bhabhi who emotionally says, throw some petty cash, let's launch a football league now. Bang it up. So it's either economy or it's emotions. That's the way it works. But India is poised to be a sporting nation, period. That is why kabaddi, football, all sports are going to work. League, all formats are going to work because India wants to play. India wants to play at any cost. The mistake that the government is making, the mistake that Mr. Narendra Modi is making is not realizing that, and he's not building an infrastructure for that. So individual corporate houses, passionate people like Abhishek, Mr. Ambani and whatnot, are actually getting out there and making a difference. This is bullshit. Somebody give a DVD to our Prime Minister of a movie called Invictus, which was made on the true story of Nelson Mandela. He transformed the entire nation that was torn apart with apartheid and economic recession through rugby. He went from jail to the rugby field. It's a true story about South Africa ranked as the lowest team in the world, and that year South Africa was hosting the Rugby World Cup, and guess what? Nelson Mandela backed that team and they won that World Cup. And the whole country united. Everybody forgot about everything else. So that's the power of sport. And Nelson Mandela said, quote unquote, sports has the power to change the world. So truly speaking, I really get disturbed. We won the World Cup in Wankhede. We forgot to celebrate it because we had IPL in 6 days. Mr. Manmohan Singh could have saved his job if he took that team for 12 months and traveled the nation and celebrated the victory of World Cup after 28 years. Are you serious? So truly, it's economy and emotion. And I think the corporates are backing sport, the fans are backing sport, broadcasters are backing sport. So this is going to turn into a reality, and I just hope that the government does the same. Then it will be ek aur ek gyara. Right now it's just one pillar actually wanting to make it happen. Now about broadcast. I mean, the broadcasters don't have an option, to be honest. So look at kabaddi. They transformed it into a viewing sport. So broadcasters need content, period. Because that's where they're going to get their fan base from. So they're just going to make the content work, period. So there is no stopping for broadcasters backing sports come what may.